Okay, good morning everybody. This is Cliff here from the Christian Tough Guy Show. A little bit earlier than scheduled. Coming from an extremely wet and dark and dank West Midlands. Again, very ad-libbing today, but sharing my knowledge with you. We revert back into fitness training, talking about fitness training, but I just want to first, very, very quickly, say a massive thank you to people that are listening in to the chat yesterday regarding my testimonial and what led me to become a Christian. So thank you very much for that, and please continue to listen in. For the Christian Tough Guy Show to continue and grow, as God willing, that's what I'm praying for. We need followers. So don't be shy to come forward. The Christian Tough Guy Show is something which will mould. We are led by the Lord. Okay, that is, sort of the important thing here. I do believe that the Lord has given me a ministry. And I do believe that the Lord will grow the Christian Tough Guy Show. But we need followers. So don't be shy in coming forward. If you're enjoying the shows and you like listening to what I've got to say, and you would like to actually see the Christian Tough Guy Show grow, then please come forward and follow us. At the moment it's me, myself and I, of course the Lord, we're a non-for-profit making, the Christian Tough Guy Show is a non-for-profit making organisation. We don't expect you to pay to listen or anything like that to the Christian Tough Guy Show. Alright? So, please come forward and follow us. Okay, so 3 minutes gone. I want to talk to you today, this morning, about the ab crunch exercise and why you should avoid it at all costs. I just want to say to you that before I found out about certain people, which I will tell you about in a moment, I had actually invented, in quotes, if you can see me doing the quote sign, a fitness equipment inventor. And I spent considerable time inventing this exercise apparatus that was all electronically enabled, and there was going to be this electronic ramp up and ramp down kind of facility. There was a bit where the legs would be and knees would be raised and bent into a 90-degree angle. All rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And the Lord put me through that to teach me, to make mistakes, but then, He will bless me in other ways. Do you get me? But I want to tell you why what I had invented wasn't going to cut the mustard on that initial invention. I spend a lot of my time researching into safer ways to train, and I came across a Canadian by the name of Professor Stuart McGill, and he's attached to the University of Waterloo up there in Canada, and you know, another guy that influenced me was Craig Liebenson. That's Craig Liebenson. Some of the other very knowledgeable and influential fitness trainers who I kind of sort of say, yeah, I know you guys, you know what you're talking about, was a very knowledgeable gentleman by the name of Charles Colquhoun, incidentally another Canadian, Christian Thibaudeau. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Thibaudeau. Apologies if I haven't. Another Canadian, Chad Waterbury. I like a lot of what he has to say. And you know, the general consensus of all these very extremely knowledgeable, learned gentlemen is avoid ab crunches like the plague. Let me tell you why I think, from what I've gleaned, these very knowledgeable, learned gentlemen explain. When you do an ab crunch, the pivotal point is normally around the T12 junction, just between L1 and T12 on your spine, on your vertebrae. Now just go with me if you don't understand all the L1 and L4 and you know C7 and all that. That's irrelevant. But just stay with me. So the problem is the continual, repetitive crunching movement around about the T12 L1 area. Some people will perform crunches and they will pivot as low as the L2, L3 area, and perhaps even between L5 and L4. Now what happens is that continual, repetitive crunching movement over and over and over again, repeating it over and over again. What that does is that puts immense pressure on the annulus part of the vertebrae, the front part of the vertebrae, and it will continually push and push and push as you crunch, as you crunch, as you crunch. You're pushing down on that front part of the vertebrae. Down it goes again. Down it goes again. Yes, you do have your jelly-like discs in between to shock absorb. Yes. And in a healthy person, yes, they'll rebound back. Yes. But the continued crunching forward, around, curling up, whatever you want to call it, pushes on that gelatinous disc, the annulus part of the disc, the anterior part of your spine, of your vertebrae. It pushes, it pushes, and it pushes. And what it does do is it weakens. Over time, it weakens that that disc. The collagen within the disc becomes weak. Okay. And it loses its elasticity and fluid content. And I'm not going to go there, right, with the sort of biological, anatomical reasoning why the injury can happen with repetitive abdominal crunches, because that is something that you could research, and I would invite you to start off, put into your Google search engine Professor Stuart McGill, McGill, McGill. But take it from me that this Professor Stuart McGill has been within the industry now for over 40 years as a spinal biomechanist. If he doesn't know, then what hope is there for the general layman? Be honest, what hope is there? There is no hope whatsoever, is there? So I take a leap of faith and I say, yeah, okay, Professor McGill, you know infinitely more than me, and I take my hat off to you. I'm going to listen and absorb to what your instructions are and what you're saying. And he is saying avoid abdominal crunches. The same with the Craig Liebersons, right? You know, they're all saying the same thing. Avoid them, because they will eventually weaken the back and cause injury. Now, let's suppose you had an injury. Okay, so your pivotal point to do your abdominal exercises, you're thinking you're safe, the back's flat, which incidentally has flexed the back anyway, the spinal back out the neutral spinal position anyway. But let's suppose, okay, so T12 I'm safe because I'm pivoting, doing my abdominal crunches at between L1 and T12, so I'm safe. My lumbar region, L2, L3, L4 and L5 is completely safe, and my sacral region is safe as well. So you think, in fact it's not. That is when you get these prolapse discs in and around the L5 and L4 area. You get problems at L3. You'll get problems in and around T4 and T5 up the spine. That's near in between your shoulder blades. You can even get neck problems, because what happens is, if wherever the injury is located on the vertebrae, and we're talking about T12 now, it can either go down, shoot down towards the hips. That's where some people get sciatica, or hip problem, or lower back problem, as I said, at L4 or L5, or it will shoot up the spine and people will get neck pain, they'll get shoulder pain at T4 and T5. And that is a direct result of the injury happening in and around the L1 and T12 junction. That is brought on by abdominal crunches. Okay, so avoid them. Forget what any personal fitness trainer tells you. Do them. They're all right. These people are only for people with injured backs. Do them. They're okay. I'm a fitness trainer. I have been a personal fitness trainer myself. And do you know what I say to you? My advice to you would be, run a mile with characters like that. Okay? Run a mile. Because they don't know what they're talking about, and you run the risk of injury. Now, I come from an amateur boxing background. I've done that as a kid. I also done a lot of kickboxing as a young man, from the 20s, you know, up into my early, well, from 20 to about 26, I did kickboxing for about 5 odd years. I've always been involved in some form of martial art training, you know, so abdominal crunches has always been the norm. Do the abdominal crunch. And it does do your stomach, doesn't it? You know, after you've done a crunch, that you've concertinaed your abdominals inwardly, you know, and you think, wow, fantastic exercise this. You know, it's like the old sort of harpsichord effect of concertinaing in, isn't it? You crunch all of in, you feel this was the basis of what I developed this thing, this bench thing, and I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. But you do, I suppose, really, don't you? We all make mistakes, and I made a mistake on that one, I can tell you. And I listened, and I listened again and again and again and again, and I went back continually to Professor Stuart McGill's talks, his teleseminars. I read up on his lectures. I dipped into Craig Lieberson and listened and listened and listened and listened again and again and again to Craig Lieberson's talks and discussions. I looked at the more knowledgeable fitness trainers out there and what they were advocating. They instruct their clients to do, right? And it wasn't that. It wasn't the abdominal crunch, I can tell you that for nothing. When you look at the spine, excuse me, when you look at our spines, you take a side view of our spines, one thing I want to say to you is, are they straight? Are they straight like a broomstick? No, they're not, are they? They go in a very, very subtle curve, and very, very subtle S-curve. And that is the neutral position of the spine. Why a lot of personal trainers, including myself, cue to lock the spine straight, keep the spine straight, is because when you apply resistance and you are trying to tell that client to keep a neutral spine, it's so difficult for the client to understand. So difficult. You know, because it's all about the supportive muscles that support the spinal vertebrae. And if we look at the lumbar region, if you go from, and I'm not listing them all, just listing what I think are the major ones. If you go from the lumbar region, you will have the long muscle, which is the multifidus muscle. You will have the psoas muscle, of course, which attaches up to all different parts of the vertebrae, as does the multifidus, and attaches to different parts, front and back of the pelvis, but you know, we're not getting into that. So you have the multifidus, you have the psoas, you have a muscle known as a quadratus lumborum, or aka the QL muscle. As we move round, we have to the sides, we have the inner and outer obliques. And then we come round to the flat sheath muscle. Put my teeth back in again. The flat sheath muscle at the front, which is that coveted 6-pack, or in some people 8-pack, the rectus abdominis. Underneath we do have the transverse abdominis and other connective tissue and muscle and intercostals, etc, 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 etc. But the point I'm trying to make is there is a complex network of musculature surrounding the lumbar region, and that is there to enable the spine to remain in a neutral position at all times. So, whether you're doing any sort of exercising, aggressive exercising, always cue to keep a flat back. Now that might sound very contradictory, but it's a cue, an exerciser's cue, C-U-E, cue, to enable the client to get their head round what you're trying to explain to them. So that's why we say keep a straight flat back. but in all cases it is keep the back neutral. So yeah, so kind of looking at it more from the expert's point of view, you have to sort of then apply the correct exercises to prescribe to keep this neutral spine, and it isn't crunches. So Professor Stuart McGill advocates exercises where you don't flex or extend the spine. Such exercises such as the plank or the side plank, okay, or the bird dog. All of these exercises keep that spine in a neutral or straight position. So there is absolutely no abdominal crunches performed during these types of exercises. Okay, it keeps the spine safe, and that's what it's about. Because think of it, what is this musculature supporting the lumbar region? What is it supposed to do? Is it supposed to continually flex around and curl around? No. What is it supposed to do? Well, I've given you the answer. It's there to support the spine. Bodybuilders and certain sports, boxing and that sort of thing, they seem to think this crunching exercise is going to strengthen the abdominal region. Well, it will do, but I'm telling you something, it's going to put the spine in immense danger. So why not just train the spine, the abdominal region rather, why not train it in the way that it's supposed to be trained, and that's keeping that lumbar spine, keeping your spine in a neutral position. There are some fantastic exercises out there that you can do. Fantastic. There's an exercise advocated by Professor McGill known as the helicopter, where you get one of these sort of tornado balls that's on a rope, and you swing it overhead like a helicopter, right? And it swings around and around and around and around and around. You're swinging it, you're making it swing, and then when you get to certain points, all right, 12 o'clock, for example, or 3:15, or 6 o'clock, or 9:15, certain points, or north, south, east, west, whatever, like on a compass point, you pulse the weight. So you contract down, but you're standing up. Do you get me? And the force of the ball swinging around and around and around. When you contract your abdomen, boy, do you feel an intense contraction? Excuse me. Do you feel an intense contraction about the abdominal area? So there's a multitude of information out there. The other thing I just want to sort of discuss with you is twisting motions. Now, I thought when I invented this bench thing, I thought, oh yeah, you've got to lock the hips and then you twist. You do your twist because it's better for you. It's going to intensify the exercises, for the oblique area, etc., etc., etc. No, I don't know where I was getting off, but no. the movement comes from the hips. The ball and socket part of where, the femur goes into the pelvis, and the ball and socket part rotates about the acetabulum within the pelvis. That's what rotates, that's what moves, not your spine. You take a boxer's punch doing a left hook off the lead leg, a left hook in left stance off the lead leg. They move their feet, don't they? If you know anything about boxing, they do. They move their feet and then they pivot right the way up, and it's via the hips that are moving, not the spine. Take a golfer. What does a golfer do? Have you seen when they drive the ball, the golf ball? What do they do? The whole of the body pivots round. Look at a tennis player when they do a tennis serve. What do? They torque their body right round. They twist from the hips, not from the spine. Not from the spine. So you need to understand these things. If you don't, you do need to understand these things. So I would suggest that you Google initially Professor Stuart McGill, McGill. That's Professor Stuart McGill as a start, and start to read up and watch his videos, listen to his teleseminars about why he says he'll tell you in a much more educated way than what I have. About why abdominal crunches, you should avoid them. Why, if you're going to do your twisting motions, it's about the hips, and the lumbar region is stabilized, right? He will give you all the answers. And another gentleman I think would be good for you to research on is Craig Lieberson, and that's, hopefully I'm spelling the gentleman's name right, I apologise, but it's Lieberson, it's Leibeson, Craig Lieberson. Okay, so those two people are your starting point. Alright, so we come into the end of the 30 minutes. I sincerely hope you've enjoyed this, you found this informative. Tomorrow we will see you again, hopefully, everyone, at around about the starting time, 8 o'clock. Have a great, blessed day, and keep safe in your training. Bye for now. Take care.